r/AskReddit. What is the weirdest thing that society just accepts? Taking drugs is bad, but drinking liquor is cool. To add on to this, young kids thinking drinking and driving is cool. Bro, I was so wasted last night I can't believe I made it home. You're not cool, bro. You're a ducking asshole who could not only kill yourself but someone else because of your stupidity. It's not just kids. It is totally okay to show graphic violence on television, but we shudder at XL content and foul language. To quote Colonel Kurtz, they train young men to drop fire on people, but their commanders won't allow them to write duck on their airplanes because it is obscene. There's a great George R.R. Martin quote about this as well. I can describe an axe entering a human skull in great explicit detail and no one will blink twice at it. I provide a similar description, just as detailed, of a penis entering a vagina, and I get letters about it and people swearing off. To my mind, this is kind of frustrating. It's madness. Ultimately, in the history of the world, penises entering vaginas have given a lot of people a lot of pleasure. Axes entering skulls, well, not so much. Here's where I like to tell my favorite story about NBC's Hannibal. There was a scene where two people had been murdered. Their backs skinned and peeled back and positioned to look like angel wings. And they were kneeling beside a bed, praying, because they were naked, and you could see their butt cracks. NBC said no to the scene. The solution? Cover their butts with more blood to hide the cracks. And then the scene was greenlit. 2-day weekends. Someone mentioned 5-day work week. I like how you're looking at it from the perspective of the weekends. From my perspective, working in a trade, if I'm already at work for 8 hours a day, I might as well make it a 10-hour day, be able to get more done in a work day, and have a 3-day weekend most weeks. Kitchens can get busy and need the extra 10 hours a week put in. Certain aspects of high school stress have been shown to be extremely harmful to an adolescent, whose brain typically hasn't developed to the point where they can properly cope yet. As a result, teens may become prone to depression, anxiety, suicidal feelings, etc. Yet not much is done to curb this. And if you bring it up, some people will actively discourage addressing the problem, claiming that kids just need to learn to buckle down and handle it, when there are experts who say their brains simply haven't developed to the point where that's possible yet. Son, you're 18 now, and even though you're still basically a kid, it's time to make a major decision that will affect the next 4 years of your life, at least. And try not to duck it up too much. Your mother and I already have to take out loans. So if you stumble or fall behind, or decide it's not for you, this ghost will haunt you until your own son goes to college. Good luck. 18. 13 to 14 in England. You decide what GCSE options, which dictate your A-level courses, which ultimately decide your degree. It's bullet. From the time you start secondary school, you're pestered about what you want to do when you grow up and which degree you'll get and where from. And the authorities wonder why kids get so disillusioned by school. It is acceptable for women to walk around in bikinis, but it's unacceptable for them to walk around in their underwear. I never really understood that one. And the bikinis can be smaller and more revealing than that person's normal underwear, which are routinely frowned upon if exposed. Who is frowning? Clapping is a bit weird. Outstanding achievement. Allow me to bang my hands together in your honor. It's one of those primitive things that never went away. Chimps do it when they are amused. No idea why, but if we all agree on it, it just kind of works. In the United States, we somehow accept a two-party political system. Are you conservative or liberal? Nope. The complete lack of bipartisanship from both parties alike has produced an entire nation that elects officials out of spite from the opposition, rather than in their own best interests. Well, I don't want to see 30 be president. Balloons. Happy birthday. Here's a plastic sack of my breath. Edit. Thanks for the gold, stranger. I give you the breath from my lungs, 9th Doctor. Edit. Wow, my most upvoted comment is a Doctor Who reference. I'm pretty goddamn proud. Actually, he says air from my lungs. Source, it's my username. Funeral homes are very bizarre to me. A loved one dies. We refrigerate them. pump them full of chemicals, cover them in makeup, and then make them look like they're sleeping, and just hang out with them. The rooms smell really weird and people comment how nice the person looks. It's so weird. I just lost someone dear and this perspective is all I could see throughout the process. At a private viewing I leaned over his body for a little hug, and he just felt full of fluid. It was ducking awful. He really did look nice, though. Ducking weird. A whole post-death ritual is so ducking weird. I can very much relate. Though not so recently. My grandma died when I was 17, and it was ducking awful. I hate that when I think of her. The happy images of 17 years of adventures and love are blurred by those last 2 days of cold, beige, perfumed misery. The way we buy cars. What other item do you go to purchase? And the thought process is I have to be good at buying this to avoid being completely iked over. And the job of the person who you're buying it from is to ike you over as much as humanly possible. It's absolutely ridiculous. Edit. Yep. There are actually a lot of other items that function this way. I think they're all stupid. I hate haggling. The problem at this point is that if anyone tried to sell us a car at a no haggle, lowest possible fair price, we still wouldn't believe them, and they'd go out of business for refusal to offer discounts. The deeper issue is the way we see prices. $100 for that widget? Rip a file, wait until it goes on sale. Same widget. $200 and 50% off equals sold. I took a consumer psychology class which taught me why we do this. In a nutshell, we think I'm saving $100 instead of I'm spending $100. You gotta think of it the latter way instead of the former. Similarly, credit cards encourage more spending because you're pushing the pain onto future you, and you get instant gratification. As opposed to buying with cash, where you feel the immediate effects of both the spending and the receiving of goods/services. Athletes are forgiven for whatever crime against humanity they commit, so long as they're back from suspension in time for the playoffs. Edit. I'm leaving my terrible spelling of athlete in there. The more I look at it, the more I laugh. It honestly bothers me when people complain that these athletes should be banned from their sport forever because they did something. Hate to break this to you, but playing pro sports isn't a privilege. It's literally their job. Their employer wants to hire the best people for the job, same as your employer, and if they're not sitting in prison and they're the best person for the job, then it is the employer's discretion whether or not to take that risk. Right. But any business which wants to maintain a good public image is liable for protecting the kind of behavior that gets someone sent to prison. Athletes who have committed a crime should not be treated any better than an accountant or cashier who committed a crime. Most companies fire or let go anyone with major felonies on their records. Puddles of pee under urinals. If I ever pee in a public restroom at a crowded place, I'm just standing in an aggregate of pee mist from dozens of other men. And then I just go back to my table like nothing ducking happened. I think it's always just a long chain reaction. People see a puddle under a urinal, and they always assume it's pee. It actually might be condensation, so they don't want to step in it. So of course they pee from a few inches back. Then they leave a few droplets behind. Then the next person comes and sees the mess the person in front of them left. So they step back. This just continues all night, and by the end of the night we have people trying to pee 3-pointers from like 15 feet out. But they are missing 90% of the urinal and just soaking the floor. I saw the guy once. Watched in horror as he whipped it out from a good 3 feet back. I can only assume he was afraid of splashback. He proceeded to short it, then hit, then flow. Then as the pressure dropped, he was missing again. He didn't seem to care, and I wasn't about to confront him about it, lest he turn towards me and get me good. Burying our dead. And they occupy that piece of real estate until the end of time. Even after the body is no longer there. Because parasites have taken it away. Even the coffin will be eventually consumed by nature. But that spot is still dedicated to them. In the US, now many cemeteries require you to have a coffin box, which is a big cement box that your coffin sits in, so it can't degrade. The sole purpose of this is to stop headstone sag. Thanks to this, now it will take forever to degrade. Edit. I'm loving all the replies. Actually learning things. And thanks to /u/George L. Chinch. Coffin vaults is the correct terminology. That's a lie, they are just worried about zombies. Raping women at any time is deemed horrible. But men being raped is funny, and if it happens in prison, it's a form of justice and/or is still funny. On Reddit, I feel as though the tables have completely been turned on this issue. Reddit's reaction to a news story or personal account about a man getting raped. See. Women do actually assault people. Why doesn't the media notice this? OMG, it's not fair. Reddit's reaction to a news story or personal account about a woman getting raped. We don't know the full story. There's no evidence. Here's some statistic about how women lie about getting raped. Not all men are rapists. Also, what was she wearing? And had she been drinking? Braces for downvotes. This is Spot ducking on about Reddit's ideas on ape. Ducking disgusting really. When my wife was pregnant we went to the supermarket together. Every senior citizen for miles around seemed to come out of the woodwork and tried to touch her stomach. Eventually, I had enough and started telling people to politely keep your hands to yourself. You'd think I just told them they couldn't have a puppy, or that my favorite thing in the world just vanished. From then on out I wouldn't stand for it. Reactions varied from polite disappointment to literal outrage that I didn't want some stranger rubbing my wife's belly. Some people who I told this story to were really upset with me that I told people to stop touching, like it's everyone's God-given right to rub my wife's belly. Still weirds me out. If you'll have another baby, tell your wife to develop a good resting ice face. It was a great deterrent. If that doesn't work, she can reach out and gently rub the offender's belly or lightly stroke their face with her hand. It without fail immediately made the offender stop touching me and realize maybe it was offensive to touch someone without permission. If you'll have another baby, tell your wife to develop a good resting ice face. It was a great deterrent. Oh God, please kill me. I have tourist face, which means that no matter what random strangers want to ask me directions, ask me for help in many stores I do not work in and randomly just chat online. Are you saying that if I become pregnant they are gonna come up and touch my belly? Make sure to like and subscribe so we can watch together.